للرجال نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون وللنساء نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون مما قل منه أو كثر نصيبا مفروضا.
In this lesson, we will learn how to calculate the cases of inheritance. Example of a case. Example of a case. This is how we calculate. In this case, we have a daughter and a nephew. We have two people that were left behind by the deceased person. They are known as the heirs. In this case, the daughter is getting half and the nephew is getting the rest. In the fraction that we have here, the first or the number on top, this is known as the numerator, and the number at the bottom is known as denominator. These two numbers are very important when calculating the cases. So in this case, the most important one is the denominator. Then the nephew is getting the residual. He is the asaba, he's from the asaba, so he doesn't have a fixed share. So in this case, we only have one fraction. We only have one fraction. The most important number in the fraction is denominator. The denominator goes on top here from the total share of the case. This denominator goes as the total share of the case. So half of 2 is 1, and the remaining half is also 1. So the nephew is getting half, not because he is entitled to half, but that is the remaining. He is getting the remaining or the residue. These are known the shares of each heir. Each share is getting this share. And these are known as the heirs, as we mentioned. In order to summarize the calculation, we have a case where we are dealing with a daughter and a nephew. The numbers that we have seen, numerator and denominator, and also the remaining. We have the heirs. We also have the share of each heir. We also have the total share of the case, which is from the denominator. The total shares in each case, in any case, can only be from one of these numbers. Currently we have 2 as our total share. It can also be 8. It can also be 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, or 24. Based on the fractions that we have here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran the fraction of half, quarter, 1/8, 2/3, 1/3, or 1/6. So looking at the possibility from these fractions, you can only get the aslul mas'ala, or the total share of each case, out of these 7 numbers. So in this case, we have only one denominator, or one fraction. So that fraction goes here on top of the aslul mas'ala, the total share of of this case. So how do we calculate and find out the total share here? If the case contains only half, the total share will be from the denominator, which is 2. So half of 2 is going to be the first person is going to get 1. If the case contains a quarter, then the total share will be from 4. A quarter over 4 is also 1. If the case contains 1/8, the asl al-mas'ala, or the total share of each case, will be from 8. And 1/8 is 1. If the case contains 2/3, the total share will be from 3. And 2/3 over 3 is 2. If a case contains 1/3, then the asl al-mas'ala, or the total share, will be from 3. 1/3 over 3 is 1. If the case contains 1/6, then the total share will be from 6. And 1/6 is 1. So this is how you calculate if the case contains one fraction. One fraction. If the case contains more than one fraction, we look at the relationship between the denominators. If they are similar, like half and half, we only use one of them. So total share will be from 2. So half of 2 is going to be 1, and the other half will be 1. And if the denominators are same, 1/3 and 2/3, the asl al-mas'ala will be, the total share will be 3. 1/3 is 1, 2/3 is 2. So they all end up to be 3. If the smaller fractions, the denominator can divide the big denominator, then we use the bigger denominator in this case. So half and quarter, 2 can divide 4, so we don't use the 2. We use the 4. So the mas'ala, the case, will be from 4. So half of 4 is 2, and 1/4 over 4 is going to be 1. And the remaining will be going to someone who is asaba. And likewise, here we have 1/2 and 1/8. So the 2 can divide the 8, so the total share can be 8, or will be 8. So half of 8 is 4, 1/8 is 1. So the asl al-mas'ala will be from 8. And likewise, 2 and 6 can go on each other, so the total share will be from 6. 3 can go into 6, or can divide 6, so if they are in one case, we use the 6 to divide the cases, so the total share will be from 6. If the denominators also share lowest common multiple, they are not the same, and the smaller one can't divide the big one without having decimals. So if they share LCM, lowest common multiple, how do you calculate the lowest common multiple? 4 and a 6, they share the number 2, can divide them both. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 3 times 4 equals 12. Or you can say 4 divided by 2 equals 2. And 2 times 6 will be 12 also. So the asl al-mas'ala, the total share, will be from 12. And likewise here, 8 and 6, they have a LCM number, or a number that can divide them both, which is 2. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. And this answer will be multiplied with the other fraction, or the denominator. So 3 times 8 equals 24. Or the opposite, vice versa, you get the same result. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. 4 times 6, you will get also 24. If the numbers don't have a relationship and they don't have LCM number, you times them each other. 2 and 3 don't have any relationship, so you multiply them with each other. 2 times 3 equals 6. And likewise 4 and 3. The only relationship between the two is you multiply them. 4 times 3 equals 12. 8 and 3, you multiply with each other. 8 times 3, you get 24. So that these are the total shares of cases. So the cases can be from 2, 3, 4, 8, 6, 12, or 24. So there are total shares of each case is 7 possibilities. There are 7 possibilities. Principle of calculating the shares. We have another way of calculating the shares. We have Team A and Team B. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed obligatory shares in the Quran. The obligatory shares in the Quran are half and a quarter and then 1/8. He also revealed 2/3, 1/3, and 1/6. These are the obligatory shares in the Quran. So in order to calculate the total cases of each share, we need these fractions. So the total shares are distributed from these 7 cases. We have how many? We have a 7 in total. So the asl al-mas'ala can be from 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. In this case, if we have a team A, which is all of the even numbers together, the numbers that go on each other, half, we have here, we have a half, 50%, half of half, 25%, and then half of half of half, which is 12.5%. If any of these numbers, 1/8, 1/4, or a half, are in the same case, we use the biggest number. So here we have half and 1/8. So we use the biggest number of the two. So 8, the denominator, 8 is used here. Half of 8 is 4. 1/8 is 1. And then remaining goes to the asaba. And likewise here we have 2/3, which is 66.66%. And then half of 66.66%, which is 33.33%. And then half of this is 16.66%. So we have 2/3, half of 2/3, and half of 2/3. If the numbers are in the same case, the denominators are in the same case. This is the case we have here. 3 and a 6 are in the same case here. We use the biggest number, which is 6 here. The 6, 2/3 of 6 is 4. 1/6 of 6 is 1, and the remaining goes to the person who's the asaba. So if a case contains team A only, we use the biggest number. So if half and 4 were together, we use the 4. Okay, so if team A alone is in one case, we use the biggest number. If team B is in the same case, here like we have here, 3 and a 6, we use the biggest number of team B. However, if there's a mixture between team A and team B, we mix them up, for example. So if you have team A from team A half, for example, if you have team A from half, 1/2, and any of these cases here, any of team B, half versus team B, any team B, the result will always be 6. The results will always be 6. The result will always be 6. Half versus team B. Team A, we have half, and anyone from team B, the result will always be 6, because denominator 2 can go into 6, so we take the biggest number. Otherwise, it will be 2 times 3, which is always 6. If a quarter from team A versus team B, the result will always be 12. So here we have 4 and a 3, it will be times. 4 times 3 will be 12. Or 4 and a 6, we use the LCM, lowest common multiple. 4 and 6, it will be divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 3 times 4 will be 12. Or 4 divided by 2, it will be 2. So 2 times 6 will always be 12 as well. So the asl al-mas'ala will be from 12. So we have team A here, a quarter, and a team B, a 3, the result will always be 12. And then also, if we have 1/8 from team A and any of team B, the result will always be 24. Result will always be 24. Either 8 times 3, which is 24, or 8 and 6 will have a LCM number. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 3 times 8 equals 24. Or 8 divided by 2 equals 4. 4 times 6 will be 24 as well. 4 times will be 24. So this is another way of calculating.